Hello everybody, my name is Joshua and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Coffee, Cats, and King, where we discuss books both new and old. I will share with you pictures of my cats will make you wish they were your cats. And I will drink enough coffee for me and everybody watching. My mug today is from Famous Anthony's. It's a local restaurant here that we are big fans of. They're currently having some issues, partly due to the COVID things. We're trying to do what we can to support them. And my shirt is another Christmas present, and it's pretty cool because it kind of goes along with my newest tattoo. I'll put a picture up here if you haven't seen it yet. Now, today of course is that wonderful video that all of us love seeing everyone else put out every year. It's the big one, it's one that we all wait for. It is the best of the year. And I've done mine a little differently this year. Generally, people try and go for a top 10. I very quickly realized that that was not going to happen. Period. Point blank. There's no way. So, I decided last year was 2021. Therefore, I'm going to have a top 21 books of the year. Now, some of you are probably saying, whoa, hold on, Josh, you can't do that, man. It's not how it works. Well, one, it's my channel, and two, I read over 180 books last year, so I can absolutely choose 21 rather than the prerequisite 10. So, I did not want to just get on here though and say, here's a book, it was cool, here's another book, it was cool. I wanted to give you guys something, some sort of idea of what you're getting into, if you will. And obviously I can't do an individual review of each of these books on this particular video. Now, that said, this might still be a two-part video. I don't know, I have no idea how it's going to go until I get into it. But basically I've assigned each of these 21 books some particular award or category, if you will, that they took for the year. And so that is how I'm ranking them as far as best of the year. I do not necessarily have an overall best of the year. That was just, again, with so many books, it was too hard to pick. But each of these kind of won my heart for a particular reason. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of talking in this video, a lot of discussion about books. So let me go on and get another sip of coffee here, and we will get into it. Alright, very first award for the year is Best Hybrid. Now, this of course is a book that could go into many different categories, many different genres, and it works well in all of them. This should come as no surprise to anyone that I picked Chasing the Boogeyman by R.H.GRIMLY. Now, I just did a review video on this, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot here. If you have not seen that review, you can check it out. I'll link it below, and I'll do the thing where it shows up here, and then I can never figure out how to get it to go away after that. Excellent book. Like I said, it works so well as a memoir, works well as crime fiction, as a thriller, mystery, as a coming of age, and as a horror. In any one of those, it would be great. But all together, it just makes one heck of a cool novel, and by one of the best guys in the business, a guy that's been in there for longer than some of us have been alive, and who has just made a huge impact in horror as a whole. Alright, next category is Best Science Fiction. Now, this year was a year where I tried to embrace science fiction a little more, and I certainly plan on continuing that into 2022. But for 2021, my absolute best science fiction read of the year was Brother Termite. Now, Brother Termite could have gone into a couple categories that you'll see later on, but I gave it best science fiction simply because it was such an interesting novel overall. Brother Termite is set in this sort of alternate timeline where we have made contact with aliens, and and particular people, particular government officials, for the most part, are the ones who know about aliens, and they kind of have to because we made a pact with them, and guess what? Aliens are now in our government. I know it would explain a lot, right? Well, in this novel, they're a very important part of our government, and this one particular alien, who we will refer to as Brother Termite, is essentially second in command of the United States, and it is his job to keep the president sort of under wraps. The president being this man that has essentially gone completely insane, but no one knows it other than Brother Termite. On top of that, you have other invading alien species, you have espionage and sort of political upheaval, if you will, all tied into this really cool contact alien story. And this was kind of a surprise to me. I'd never read anything by Patricia Anthony. Never even heard of Patricia Anthony for that matter. I picked it up solely based off the really interesting cover, and I loved it. It was really cool. If you're looking for a very different alien contact story, this is the one for you. Alright, weirdest book of the year. This was a Kindle read titled The Body Scout by Lincoln Michel. Now, to explain to you just how weird The Body Scout is, I'm going to tell you that the four major components of this book are cyberpunk, splatterpunk, body horror, and baseball. So, as I've said, this book occurs in a far future, if you will, where humans have made all kinds of advancements. We've gotten to the point basically where you can go to your local doctor and buy yourself an upgraded liver so that you can continue to drink yourself silly. And our main character is a man who had a bunch of cybernetic work done to himself so that he could play in the essentially in the Enhanced Androids League for baseball. And then shortly after, these kinds of people and this kind of sport was outlawed. So he's become a pariah. People don't understand him, they don't like him. And so he's done the only thing he could do to stay in the field of sports and baseball, and he has become a scout. Now, in this future, baseball is huge. All the teams are owned by pharmaceutical companies, and they basically pump their new drugs into their players to show that other people how great their drugs are. And then the winner of the World Series gets all these government contracts and basically a free pass to do whatever the heck they want. So, baseball is huge. Baseball means more than anything. And his job as a body scout, if you will, is to go around and kidnap the talent before some other team can get that particular person. And without getting too much further into it, yes, as I said, it's cyberpunk, but it is absolutely splatterpunk and most definitely body horror. If you are a person that does not read a lot of science fiction, but you enjoy horror and body horror gets to you, you want to give something new a try, please do yourself a favor and try The Body Scout. Yes, it's science fiction, but it has some of the best body horror that I've read in quite some time. Okay, next category is Best Nonfiction. This is a pretty easy one. I only read maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 nonfiction through the whole year. It's one of those genres that I really just don't delve into a lot, but I feel like I could have read another 20 and this book still would have taken award for Best Nonfiction of the Year, and that is Lucky Man by Michael J. Fox. Now, I read this book very early into the year and I told you guys how much I loved it then. I'm telling you again how much I love it now. Michael J. Fox he's a really cool dude. Yes, he was a good actor. He was a fun actor, but it extends way beyond that. I like him as a person. I like him as an individual. I like him for his thoughts, for his beliefs, for his work to help others. And this book put all of that into perspective for me in a way that I appreciate him that much more now. Lucky Man is a memoir, basically of his early years, coming up as a child star, all the way up until his diagnosis for Parkinson's, and the trials and tribulations through that. Michael J. Fox is a huge proponent and supporter of research into Parkinson's and into other physical and mental disabilities. And basically, this memoir of his is titled Lucky Man because he says despite all that, despite Parkinson's hitting him early and doing the damage it has done to its body, he is such a lucky man to have the support system he has. He is such a lucky man to have the memories and experiences that he has, and he is a lucky man to be able to do the work he does now to help others with this disease, and to try and lead others into a better future despite such debilitating circumstances. And if that does not make you like this man, then I don't know what will. But this was an excellent memoir. This was written over 20 years ago, and he is still going strong, still doing incredible things for his community and for those around him. And I look forward to reading this again in the future and reading other works by Michael J. Fox. Now, this next one did have a few contenders, but at the end of the day, I had to give it to this one. This is Best First Novel. This is not a new novel to 2021. This is just the very first novel of a particular author. And it does happen to be an author that is very new and only has one other work out. That is Out of the Blue by Sophie Cameron. Now, this is another one that I read very early in the year, but it's one that stuck with me. And especially for being a debut novel, this is really excellent. It is a young adult novel about a girl who lives with her father. Her mother has just passed away fairly recently, just a few months ago. And very soon thereafter, these winged beings start falling from the sky and crashing down to the earth. They're dead on impact, and it starts up all kinds of debates, guys, because these things, they look like angels. So of course, anyone on the religious side is saying they're angels. Anyone who is not on the religious side is kind of panicking too, because, I mean, what do you do when these things fall from the sky? And, you know, but basically what happens is her father becomes obsessed with finding one alive. Because, like many other people, he thinks that it may lead to some sort of discovery that can perhaps bring his wife back, or reunite him with his wife anyway. And this young girl is the very first person to see a being fall from the sky, hit the ground, and survive. And the story goes from there. Now, do not let the fact that this is about these beings that very much resemble angels, don't let that scare you away, because this book is not religious. This book talks about religion because with a plot like that you can't help but talk about religion, but it is entirely all inclusive. In fact, the lead character is she is of Arabic descent. Her own religion really should make her question many of the things that are happening, but that becomes secondary because this is a girl that has just lost her mother. This is a girl that is being pulled all around the world essentially by her father in search of these things, and she is just at a total loss in life. She's feeling these things that that her culture tells her are absolutely not okay, and that could in fact lead to her death. Meanwhile, all these things are going on around her, and somehow this book still becomes more about her as a character than about any of the religious topics, any of the cultural topics, and I think that's what I love so much about it. It was just an excellently written novel, and so impressive to be a debut from Miss Sophie Cameron. She has one other book out called Last Bus to Everland, and I am waiting to pick that up this coming year because this one really impressed me. Now this next category is Best New Author, and that is Best New Author of 2021. And I've actually picked his 4th book. Confusing? Well, let's get into it. Best New Author is R.H.GRIMLY with Donut Shop of Doom. And R.H.GRIMLY has just, as of 2021, started this new FRIGHTLAND series. It was a Kickstarter thing, so he was able to put 4 books out, all back to back, all at the same time, just like that. Now, it is worth saying that of the FRIGHTLAND series, of the 4 that are out so far, any one of them could have been picked for this particular award. They are all excellent, excellent books. R.H.GRIMLY is absolutely an author to be looking out for, guys. If you are at all interested in the old Goosebumps series, if you're into the sort of knockoff series, if you will, like the Shivers and Creepover series that's new now, then you absolutely need to pick up the FRIGHTLAND books. They are freaking awesome. He was actually able to get Mr. Tim Jacobus himself to do the covers. That's right, the original Goosebumps artist himself did the covers for these books. So it is really just great stuff. Now, that said, I've went on record saying this before, and some people are not going to like me. Monster Blood, I apologize, but I truly believe that R.H.GRIMLY is a better author than R.L. Stine. And this book is a great example of it. So, Donut Shop of Doom is just what it sounds like. This donut shop opens in a small town, and everybody immediately becomes obsessed with it. This one particular boy that we follow, the main character, every time he goes there, he just wants an apple fritter. All the boy wants is an apple fritter, and they never have apple fritters. So he's like the only guy that's not eating these donuts. Everyone else is just absolutely obsessed. And slowly this obsession goes from just weird to strange to a little scary when, for instance, one of the kids, their parents are fanatics. They only eat healthy food, and they work out constantly, and they won't allow junk food in the house. And then suddenly they're eating these donuts every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So obviously something weird is going on. Now, as I said, these books are very much reminiscent of Goosebumps. But in this case, it also reminded me of a Courage the Cowardly Dog episode, one where this guy, he basically comes in, starts selling flan, and everyone becomes obsessed with the flan. And that's what I was thinking of the whole time reading this book. But it takes some twists and turns that really take the two and make such a great mixture. So R.H.GRIMLY, new author as of 2021, and absolutely a guy to be looking out for, whether you are an adult, a young adult, a kid, whatever. The next one is Best Retelling. This is, of course, a retelling of a fairy tale or classic tale that is world-renowned. In this case, it is a Peter Pan retelling titled Hook, Dead to Rights by Miss Melissa Snark. Now, Hook, Dead to Rights is, well, it's just that. It's another Peter Pan retelling, and it seems like I read a couple of these every year. You would think at some point that I would get tired of them, but I don't. I love retellings. I love fairy tale retellings. I love, well, any kind of old story taken and made new, and I feel that Melissa Snark does that very well in this particular book. Now, in this book, Captain Hook is a female pirate captain who has a very dark history with Peter. And they don't get entirely into it in this particular book, but it is heavily implied that Peter Pan kidnaps children from the regular world, brings them to the new world, and turns them into slaves. Although our main character, Captain Hook, is, well, she's not a nice person either. She is, of course, a pirate. So she does piratey things. She pillages, she destroys other ships and takes hostages, and etc., etc. Her overall goal is to stop Peter Pan and to release the children back into the normal world, and things kind of go from there. Now, there were a few reasons that I really liked this book. One, as I said, I'm already a sucker for retellings, and I love when they can do something entirely new. For me, this book kind of did that. Not necessarily in the portrayals of the characters, but just in some of the little details that I never really thought of. So, for instance, everyone on this team has to wear plugs in their ears because the sound of the constant cannon fire and shooting of guns and such. Basically everyone on the team is half deaf. So basically the biggest form of communication between Captain Hook and the rest of her team is sign language. And that actually becomes a very important thing later in the book and further into the series. So it's little things like that that it gave it a little bit of a realness, you know? It's something that I never would have thought of, but it makes so much sense that now that I've heard it, now that I've read it in this book, anytime I read about, you know, these epic ship battles, like, oh, well, how could they possibly hear the captain? I mean, everyone's probably half deaf as it is, you know? So it's just one of those things that's going to stick with me, one of those little details that really made it for me. And there are a lot of these little details sprinkled throughout that really elevated the reading experience of Hook Dead to Rights for me. So, if you were looking for yet another Peter Pan retelling, something with a little flair, something with some minor differences that make some major differences later on, then Hook Dead to Rights by Melissa Snark may be for you. Alright, so it definitely isn't ending up in just one video here. It's going to be way too long. I don't know how many videos it's going to be, but I'm going to end it here for this one. I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. I hope that you'll come back to see the rest of it. I'm not going to have cats in this because I have something special planned for that, so stick around for that, guys. I'll have the next part of this video up very soon. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. Can't wait to talk to you in the comments below. Cheers.